Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
It's really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
Hello there, episode 105 of Weather Weekly. It is Snow Talk. We've done one each and every day this week. Today, Thursday, December 22nd, and today is the day that we will get the system coming in here, and that will begin later tonight. So we're going to kind of walk you through the timeline. I'm going to talk about a little bit of what's already been happening to our west, which there's some incredible numbers. Not so much with snow. And again, it kind of goes to the point of, while snow is going to create some problems, no doubt about it. It always does. But the cold, the wind chills, maybe the bigger part of this story as this system gets a little bit closer to us. So we're going to talk all about that. It's another fresh update of Snow Talk here on Weather Weekly. That's coming up next. Episode 105 of Weather Weekly. It is a special edition of Snow Talk. Today's date is Thursday, December 22nd, 2022. And today is the day of our winter system coming in that we've been talking about the past couple of days. I just want to kind of give you guys some notes before we get into the timeline here. And first of all, for those of you that have been listening to the podcast, I know it's kind of a more unique way of kind of diving deep. I've traditionally always done kind of like the Facebook Lives and that kind of stuff. But this has been kind of a newer venture for me over the last year or so with this podcast and just trying to kind of do some new things. And these always seem to be the more popular ones that we do. And so I appreciate those that are taking the time to actually listen. So, it does mean a lot. I enjoy doing them. I'm a nerd at heart. And so when you get these big winter systems, I just like to talk about them. And obviously I can do it on this platform at much more length than I can on TV. Even on a day like today where we're, it's coming, I still only get about, 3.5 to 4 minutes to kind of talk about it on television. So it's nice to be able to not have any time constraints, and I can, if I want to go 2 hours, I can. I don't know if anybody would listen that long, but it's nice to have that free range to be able to do that here. So this storm, it's interesting. So, and I mentioned this before the break. There are some snow issues, obviously, no doubt about it, but this there will be some pretty big numbers, I think, north of Indiana, but a lot of it's going to be due to lake effect bands and kind of where we get the wraparound of snow. But as I've been saying and stressing, the big story isn't going to be just the snow. I think it's certainly going to be enough snow to create some travel difficulties. And there's no doubt about that. But some of the numbers I've seen in terms of the cold have just been astounding. I think there was one reporting station that I saw when I woke up this morning, and you started seeing kind of a dip in the temperatures this morning. There was one reporting station, I think in Wyoming. It might have been Cheyenne. I'm trying to look back for it here, but they had about a 30 degree swing in about a half hour time. It was just incredible. Denver, I'm looking at right now. So 2 p.m. temperature Wednesday was at 51. By 9:30 at night, they were at 9 below. It was a 60 degree drop basically in a 7.5 hour span. 60 degrees. A 60 degree swing. It's incredible. I did note earlier, Casper, Wyoming set an all-time record low this morning of 42 degrees below zero. That's not factoring in the wind chill here, gang. So it does show you how cold the air is. Now, I will say that there's a lot of snow up, obviously, into Canada, and there's been snowpack already up in, say, Wyoming and Montana and everything. So the cold doesn't have a chance to modify. When this cold air arrives here, it's going to be going over some snowpack, but we're not going to have a ton of snow on the ground when, the initial cold and that drop will happen. So Will it be quite as significant as what they saw like in Denver? No, but I do think a 30-degree swing absolutely in play, probably within the 90 minutes, I think. That's how drastic I think the cold's going to be later this evening. And I certainly think compared to, we're going to get up to around 42 for a high. We could get as low as, I think in worst case scenario here in Indy, we could get as low as 10 below. So, that's a 50-degree swing in a matter of probably 12 hours. So I didn't go quite that low. I'm leaning more toward around 6 below, but I think we could, there's a chance we could get to around 10 below. So it's significant even here. May not be as sharp, but look, it's cold as cold, and it's going to be a tremendous swing. All right. So just kind of wanted to put those numbers out there for you. So we haven't really changed the timeline much in terms of when everything happens. I think everything's playing out how we have kind of foreseen this. And here we are the day of, and so there's been a lot of consistency here. So let's kind of just walk you through it here. The rest of your Thursday, cloudy. Again, we're going to be in the low 40s, I think, for much of the afternoon. And we'll stay with scattered light rain showers through late afternoon as well. We have been stressing you need to wind down travel by 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon and this evening. Because I think that's when we're going to flip the switch to snow. And when we flip the switch to snow, because that's the cold front and you're going to have most of the moisture there, it's not going to be a gradual change. It's probably you're going to have some decent bands of rain, and then the switch flips with the cold air, and it's going to turn to heavy snow almost instantaneously. And once we turn to snow, it's going to be all out snow for the remainder of this event. That'll continue through the evening hours. Probably winding down overnight. And I right now, I'm basically cutting off any significant snow just before daybreak Friday morning. And something that has changed is some of the models earlier in the week were kind of bringing the wraparound of snow around the low, what we call the deformation zone. And typically you can get a decent amount of snow accumulation out of that because it's very cold air and just pretty consistent snow. We're not going to get that. I mean, you're going to get this thump of snow that's going to come tonight, and then we're done with the snow. Okay. But I think it's still a good thump. I'm still saying 3 to 6 inches pretty much around the metro area. We have those winter storm warnings that will go into effect later this afternoon. They last until Friday afternoon. So that's the snow aspect of this. I already kind of touched briefly on the quick drop in temperatures. I think that's going to happen probably around 6 or 7 o'clock through around 9 o'clock, where we could have that 30-degree drop in temperatures. And so that's where the flash freezing potential is going to happen. That's the starting point of that. And then certainly we're going to be cold throughout then, the rest of the overnight. And so freezing will then take place at that point overnight as well. So those are the two main concerns for just tonight alone. Okay. Now let's focus in on the next stage of this for Friday. That's the wind gusts. The winds are going to start picking up overnight. And I think by the time we get up Friday morning, you're going to have very consistent wind gusts of around 40 miles per hour, maybe even up to 50 miles per hour. And then that's going to be all day long on Friday, probably through Friday night, and then even into Saturday morning. So now, even though the snow is done falling, I think we're still going to have the issues because you're going to have, like I said, you're going to have 3 to maybe as high as 6 inches of snow on the ground, but who's going to be able to accurately measure it? I mean, everything's going to be blown around so much, you're not going to have a really good chance to kind of measure exactly how much we got. So my concerns for Friday are going to be first, the blowing snow. I think it's going to be enough, and we've seen some indications of this out west, that the visibilities have been near zero. Okay. It's been that bad because you have the snow on the ground, the winds are whipping up, and you're not getting a break from the wind. So visibilities are low. You're going to have the blowing snow back on the road. So it's the poor plow drivers that, God bless them, they're going to be working like crazy here over the next 24 to 36 hours leading up to a holiday weekend. But they're going to be fighting a losing battle, not only tonight because of the heavy rates of snow, but also with the blowing snow on Friday, because it's just going to be, they're going to plow it off and then it's going to blow right back on the road. So, So that's going to be difficult. So that's going to make for very difficult travel. And then obviously a huge concern is the cold. And we're going to have a long duration cold event here, right? So wind chills of about 20 to 30 below. And I think that is definitely possible. In fact, I think we could be close to 40 below in some spots early Friday morning. It gets a little better. We get more in that 20 to 30 below range during the afternoon. But look, I think we're going to stay there until Saturday morning. So we're talking an extended period of 20 to 30 below. That's dangerous stuff. That's dangerous stuff that you do not want to be out in an extended period of time, which is why we stress you don't want to be out driving in this and getting stuck, right? And stranded. Because it's just that's not the type of temperatures you want to be stuck in. So that's why we urge no travel on Friday as well. It's just in different phases. Very difficult to travel later tonight, and same thing on Friday. One is because of falling snow and the flash freezing conditions. Friday is going to be because of the blowing snow and just the brutally cold air. Okay. Now, when do you see improvements? A little bit overnight Friday into Saturday. I still think we're very windy on Saturday, but not as windy. But you're probably still looking at gusts around 30 miles per hour. So blowing snow, I think, is still going to be an issue. Your wind chills are still going to be very cold, probably 15 to 25 below, maybe even a little bit colder than that Saturday. As we go deeper into the day on Saturday, it does gradually get better with the winds as this system pulls away into eastern parts of Canada. But look, we're going to be frigid. So you're not obviously going to have you're not going to have any melting going on. I think chemicals are going to have a very difficult time working against trying to, de-ice some of the roads. So if you have, you're going to Christmas Eve services, you're doing family stuff on Christmas Eve, again, I know people are still going to do what they're going to do. And so all I can do is arm you with the best information I possibly can. I just think travel is going to be difficult. It's going to be better than, say, obviously Thursday night with the falling snow. It's going to be better than Friday with the blowing snow. I still think you're going to have some blowing snow to contend with. Just give yourself plenty of time. Okay. That's if you have to go out, give yourself plenty of time to do so. Christmas Day should be a little bit better. It's going to be cold. Christmas Day is going to be really cold. 0 will be the air temperature when you wake up. I do think it's going to be breezy, but not even remotely close to what we are going to be experiencing here for Friday and then for parts of Saturday as well. You may have some blowing snow, but I think your visibilities are going to be a little bit better. I do think there's still going to be very difficult travel conditions for Christmas Day, but it will be a little bit better if you are, say, staying locally within the state, that you'll be able to manage that, though. Okay. So that's what I have in terms of the timeline. Nothing has really changed, and it looks like this is probably something that's going to hold here as we get going into the evening and overnight hours. Please, please, please be safe. Heed all the warnings. We don't say it to scare people. Obviously, we'll make changes as we can as the event unfolds, but just looking down the pipe at what has happened out to the west, especially with the temperatures, it does look like this forecast is probably going to hold true. The snow numbers may not be the craziest that we've ever seen, but when you factor it in with the winds, you factor it in with the wind chills, the cold temperatures, it just makes for a very problematic and difficult storm to navigate. And then, I've said this already a couple times, but you add that equation of people out on the road traveling for the holidays. It has a recipe for being very, very difficult, very difficult. And so again, our goal here, not to scare you away from doing anything. We just want to arm you with as much information as you possibly can so you can make a sound decision. Okay. So that's where we stand right now. Of course, we will continue to update you on Wish TV, wishtv.com, our social medias, and of course the Storm Track 8 weather app. We'll put a wrap up on this coming up next here on Weather Weekly. That'll do it here for episode 105 of Weather Weekly. Thank you so much for joining us here. Please stay safe as we get going through this storm system. There's so many phases here. And again, Can't stress it enough. If you don't need to travel, don't look. I'm no dummy. I know it's the holiday weekend and people are going to do what they're going to do. But hopefully we've given you enough information for you to make a sound decision on any plans that you will have for this upcoming holiday. So hopefully you have all the information you need. We will continue to keep you updated. Follow along for updates. Of course, Wish TV, wishtv.com, our Storm Track A weather app, and all of us here, all 6 of us will be posting on social media as we continue to monitor this storm system that will move through here as we gear up for the holiday weekend. Not sure about the podcast schedule here for your Friday. We'll kind of see how everything plays out. Obviously, we'll be in the middle of everything. But if we see that it's warranted, we'll jump back on. If I do not talk to you between now and then, have a very Merry Christmas, a safe holiday, a hopefully warm holiday here as we gear up for this upcoming weekend. And hopefully you're able to do everything you're hoping to do here as we gear up for this weekend as well. Make sure you stay safe. And hey, look, we'd love to hear any updates that you have. You guys are our eyes and ears. We can only see what's out in front of us here on North Meridian, just north of downtown. So if you can safely do pictures, even just a report, feel free to send it to us anytime. You can do that at weather@wishtv.com. That goes to all 6 of us here. And so that's greatly appreciated. Like I said, even if it's not a picture, if it's just quick, hey, here's what it's looking like in Muncie or Kokomo or Rushville. We greatly appreciate that. You can also reach out on social media. I'm at Marcus Bailey Weather on Facebook, and on Twitter and Instagram, it is at Marcus Bailey. So you can reach out there. Again, have a wonderful holiday weekend, and we will talk to you again very, very soon. While you're here, make sure to check out all the other great podcasts, all part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Merry Christmas to you, and God bless you and your family.
Discover more from Storm Track A Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.